Don't let me stray. Please guide my way onto the path of my being. Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, I'm calling your name. Oh, Allah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, dear viewers, to another live episode of Let's Talk on your favorite station, Huda TV. I am your host, Yusuf Kroma, and today we'll be talking about the very, very essential topic of low self-esteem. Something very interesting. There are many people that walk around feeling bad about themselves, saying things that are self-deprecating, and they lower their self-esteem, and they don't feel good about themselves. They don't have any positive thoughts. So we're going to talk about this, how to remedy this, what are the symptoms of these things, and how to sort of aid someone if they have a low self-esteem, inshallah ta'ala. But before doing so, we want to introduce our noble guests, beginning with Brother Yasir by way of Maghrib/Skandariya. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a pleasure again to be here, and mashallah, may Allah make this show beneficial for all Muslims.
Ameen, ameen. Brother Yasir, please tell us a bit about yourself.
My name is Yasir Al-Ashqar. I'm 26 years old, about to be 26 in a couple of months. I have two birth dates, because I was given birth in a month, and I was registered in another month. So that was in Pakistan, India, Kuwait, Morocco, Saudi, and now Egypt. So let's see what's going to be added next.
MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah, Mr. Traveling Man.
Yeah, I'm trying to be.
Second, we have our teacher all the way from Philadelphia, mashallah, the young doctor, the young mu'allim, Brother Hamid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Excellent, barakatuh.
MashaAllah. Please tell us a bit about yourself, Brother Hamid.
My name is Hamid Sharif. I'm from the city of Philadelphia. I'm just a young student of Islamic religion and its different sciences, and I'm happy to be on the show.
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. It's always a pleasure to have you.
The pleasure is ours.
Alhamdulillah. We have our guest here today, mashallah. We like to call him Imam Shafi'i, all the way from Tanzania, mashallah. Dar es Salaam in the building. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. I'm from East Africa, Tanzania, and I'm happy to be here again.
Inshallah. It's a pleasure to have you. Okay, so you're sitting right next to the mudir of this Let's Talk, mashallah, the veteran, Brother Idris. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, Brother Idris?
Alhamdulillah, very good. Taking it one day at a time, inshallah.
Mashallah, you look shining today. Is there any good news you got for us, man?
Alhamdulillah, just happy to be alive. It's a reflection of yourself. You spread it.
Please tell us a bit about yourself, Brother Idris.
My name is Idris Tawfiq. I'm from America, Maryland originally, but I lived all over the country. I'm here working and studying Quran and Arabic, on and off, trying to reboot that system of getting back into it. Started out good, slowed off a little bit, but trying to go back into what I originally came for. And alhamdulillah, teaching English at the same time, and that's it.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, man.
Yes. Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. So we want to get right into our topic today. How do we qualify the term low self-esteem? When we say this term, what are we talking about?
Well, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Low self-esteem, it could be explained as, shyness, maybe shallowness. A person who can't get out in the light. He wants to stay in the dark. He can't handle people. He can't be social enough. He can't be contributing in the society enough. For everyone to admit his efforts. It could be a woman or a man, it could be a male or a female, but the problem is it'll affect his entire life if he didn't deal with this problem right now. It'll affect everything, starting from his job, his work environment with his co-mates and his family, his wife, his children. And you have to set an example of having a strong type of personality that no one could get at or affect, or influence in a bad way, of course, not in a beneficial mean. So we as Muslim, ad-din al-nasiha, I mean, we're advised to accept each other's advices and, and to give advice whenever it is needed at the most. So right now, the problem with self-esteem, it goes back to a lot of, I can say, something that ignites this problem, which make it like more, focused or intense. That would be the way the person was raised, first of all. The way his social environment, his ability to express himself, maybe he can't handle that problem that I mean, maybe he had a friend or a father or a mother or someone else looking out for him who used to always solve his problem, so you have to depend on yourself. Don't depend on anyone.
And that's something that we're going to get into now. We're just going to define the term now. Brother Hamid?
Before I would define what's low self-esteem, let's just take self-esteem, which is, self-regard, how you view yourself as an individual, your abilities, your worth, how you just view yourself. So low self-esteem would be that individual who lacks confidence in his or herself, lack of confidence in your abilities and your worth,
Okay. Brother Shafi?
Well, when you talk about low self-esteem, I mean, for me, from my perspective, it's a one way or another to be, I mean, disappointed. I mean, to disappoint yourself, and to be less confident, and this always happens according to the environment you live, or people. I mean, surround people around you. That's all to it.
Brother Idris?
Basically, I would define it as something that the value that one placed on themselves. So the value that you see yourself, and also the worth that you see yourself. And that's basically the bottom line. Everyone's kind of revolving around this same idea, and of course there's lots of other angles to look at it, as far as symptoms and what happens to you. But now we're going to get into that, inshallah. So.
So I want to get to what are some of the characteristics or symptoms of someone with low self-esteem? If you see seeing some of these that's exhibiting these characteristics, how would you sort of determine that this person has low self-esteem as opposed to shyness or something like this? So what are some clear-cut symptoms or signs of someone that is dealing with low self-esteem?
Well, I'd say first thing, like a person will never look at you in the eyes, so you have to always look at the person in the eyes.
Well, that's a tricky thing because it varies from different cultures, right?
Yeah.
So in a certain culture, it may be disrespectful for you to look in someone's eyes. In other cultures, it's disrespectful for you not to look in their eyes. So it varies from culture to culture, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, well, for us Muslims, or generally, I mean, with the Chinese, you see them, they bow their heads. It's for the respect, I mean, they pay the respect for elder people, people who are older than them. So that is one way to look at it. Also, maybe you can get a guy with a low voice, very low tone of voice. It could be as well a sign of respect, because he's speaking to someone who's older than him. But a Muslim usually is strong, A Muslim should be strong and plain and simple, So I don't think low self-esteem could be good to anyone in any situation. It can never be turned in your favor. So you have to get rid of it. You can identify shyness. You can identify low self-esteem as well with associating the body language with
Sure.
You understand? You know what I mean? Like shyness, just bowing their heads. You can't if you tell him something or maybe disrespect him in a way, he would never be able to get back and keep pace with that. You understand me? So just just speak. Just try to defend yourself.
Okay.
Don't be shy. Just speak up.
Okay.
I guess what he's trying to say is maybe like nervousness.
Yeah.
You know, people like one symptom could be like you're nervous because you believe that you're just not capable. Maybe another symptom can be anti-socialism. You avoid public gatherings because you view that you're just not on everyone's level, or when people are speaking, having group conversations, you can't chime in.
Right.
All going back to, oh, what if I say this and people laugh at me, or what if I say this and no one agrees, or what if I say this? So maybe nervousness, anti-socialism, that could be a symptom of low self-esteem. So you avoid those predicaments.
Okay. Brother Shafir?
Well, maybe on top of that, we take this example. We see people are losing composure and trying to reach a breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
All of these account on the low self-esteem.
Okay. I know you read a lot about like body language and things like that.
Language, yeah.
So what are some different body languages to look for someone with low self-esteem?
There's so many, but for me, I pick one. We used to see people whether when they talk or they sit, putting a hand on,
Well, right. Yeah.
and
Or just like constant
Right.
moving,
Yeah.
like shaking.
like this,
Yeah. I used to know have a girl in school. She used to, I think, have like a gap between her teeth. So when she would talk to people, she would talk like this.
Yeah.
It was really awkward. Like she would just talk like this. So alhamdulillah, Brother Idris.
Yeah, for me, I think like depending on which angle you want to look at it, low self-esteem could be from a personal level or from a social level. Now, a personal level would be someone who's thinking of who's basically the ultimate pessimist. The person who's always thinking that, I'm not pretty, I'm ugly, even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He made man in the best of molds, So taqween. So He made us in the best of molds, but they think that they're ugly. So this is a personal level of low self-esteem. It's something to do with themselves, nothing to do with anyone else on the outside. And another way, the second aspect is a social level. And the social level is sort of like, I would say, like a person who could be one of other. One who doesn't, like he said, want to be around people, or also at the same time it could be someone who is a follower. They follow trends. These we have a lot of Muslims like this today who, whatever's popular, they're following it. They don't want to be a person who's going to, have istiqamah and follow the truth. They just follow whatever. Homosexuality is okay. Everything will be okay with them in the end because why? They're just following the trends, and they feel like this is justice and this is this is the uprightness, but it has nothing to do with the deen or what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid out for us. So I could talk about it for hours because it's a lot more in depth. But those are the two basic realms, the personal and social levels where self-esteem kind of grabs a hold of most people.
Can't stand it by himself.
Yeah, and I think there's a whole conversation that could be had about having esteem within your own Islam in, say, being the Muslim minority in different places, or even being in a Muslim country where people act other than Islamic, and being the one to go against the grain. That's a whole conversation that we have about that, just having a sort of pride and a sort of esteem for yourself as a Muslim person, as a Muslim male or woman. But the next question would be, so what are the sort of causes of a person to have low self-esteem? What are certain things that, I know you were mentioning in the beginning about parenting and things like this. What sort of enables a person to have low self-esteem?
Well, just like Brother Idris pointed out, for some people they have certain, what do you call it, disability maybe.
Okay.
Like back in the days when I was younger, this is personal, a little personal, it's about me. So, I have this teeth, you can see this like this, it's messed up, so I need braces, you understand? So I was, you reminded me of this guy who, he covers his mouth, So when I used to laugh, even till now, I still have it. I try to cover my mouth with the laugh, with any laugh. So I try to smile, like lightly, just a light smile, just for my teeth not to show up, not to. And my family told me to get it done, to get my braces done. But then I read this ayah, وَلَأَمُرَنَّهُمْ وَلَيُغَيِّرُنَّ خَلْقَ اللَّهِ. You know, they would change the creation of Allah. You know, so I said it, you know, just let it be. I won't change anything. I don't know if this ayah is associated with what I'm saying, but, you know, it's the way I took it, you know.
Right.
So I dealt with it. So I dealt with it, I embraced it, accepted it, you know. I even started like making jokes about it, you know, like look at my teeth, oh, it's pretty, you know.
Yeah, right.
Right? Yeah, so you see, you have to turn it into your advantage, you know. Don't let it get into you. It can be like peer pressure. You know, maybe you know, it has a lot of aspects. I mean, I could. Just like Brother Idris, you can talk for hours about it. So, you know, I mean, I'm not telling people to be arrogant. You know, just have the confidence, enough confidence to handle everybody around you and yourself within. You know, that's it.
Yeah, mashallah, tabarakallah. I think you mentioned something very important, which is that a lot of these symptoms begin at a very early age in elementary school, and something very interesting about the dynamic of educational like places, and Brother Idris, you can attest to this, is that children will always, like, kids are so blunt and honest, right, in a certain way, right? A kid will see something like, yo, what's that on your face, or something like that, right? So kids are like very crude in a certain way, and what they do is they will find something different about you and isolate that thing and tease it. So bullying and things like that all happens in these early cases. So if you're at this early stage where you're just developing your identity and people isolate this thing about you that's different from everyone else, it could really lead to, like, you know, long-term symptoms. A lot of people still suffer from things that happen in the first, second grade, which, you know, I definitely personally remember being teased, you know, for being different and things like that. So, yeah. Hamid?
I think one of the causes for self-esteem could be the tarbiyah, the upbringing. Like children, they need attention and they need to hear compliments. Human beings in general, we yearn for attention and compliments and some sense of relevancy, you know. So if you lack those things, or if you didn't receive those things coming up, you know, there's something missing, and it will be apparent in your behavior. So children whose parents, you know, maybe they just don't know how, maybe they were raised the same way, you know, and they don't show certain affection to the children, because in some cultures it's like that. Like, I know some cultures, like, it's not cool to, like, maybe kiss your kid on its cheek or something like that, or things like that. And on the flip side, you know, some kids, they turn out to be like really arrogant and bigots when you always praise them and tell them too much. You get them like, yeah, you the best. Oh, you. Some kids really. So I think it should be a balance with the upbringing. Like, parents should, you know, give enough attention to their children to the point that they develop self-confidence, and keep it balanced and not overdo it to the point where they become arrogant.
Okay, that's a good point. Brother McKean, Shafi?
Yeah, you can change my name and for free. I mean,
you know something? As I was studying Arabic, that the Arabs, whenever something was very important, they would give it many names. That's one of the signs of Luga, right? So we got McKean, we got Shafi, we got Molana, because your importance,
well, like I say again, if you want to change my name, we'll do that for free.
We don't gotta go to Magama.
Well, when we come back talking about the cause of low self-esteem, for me, like others said, I mean, it depends on the environment. Since we were kids, or even adults.
Yeah, sure.
Not only for kids, the way they grow. We talk about the kids because, you know, the way they grow up. But the environment could be the cause. If negative environment the kid lives, or someone lives in it, or, I mean, always come back to environment like schools, or where they work, or any places human being always
gather.
Being available. Yeah, so could be that. And also the cause, again, even people who believe, people who depend on, like father, mother,
the people closest to you.
People close to you, could be the cause of low self-esteem.
Okay, Brother Idris?
For me, I would just boil it down to, you know, instead of going in, there's many different branches of causes, but I think the main root cause that everything branches out from, there's a second cause, but the main one is not knowing your purpose in life. You know, not knowing that you were created to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you are out of whack and out of tune with this, other things become more important than they should be. The study of learning and who you are and who Allah is and becoming a better Muslim clears out this low self-esteem if it's done properly. Because then you know who Allah is, you know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, you know who you are, you know that He created you in the best of molds, you know that you're trying to please Him. Everything else is secondary.
Okay, so you're mentioning a sort of philosophical
root cause.
Root cause.
Yes, but like I said, there's many branches of that as they're bringing up, but they all boil back down to this basic: what are we made for? What Allah made us for? What He made men and jinn for? What? To worship Him. Okay. So everything else is a sideshow that is either a test or a punishment. So, like for instance, another root cause that has something to do with that some people don't think about is that sometimes people have chemical imbalances. Right. They just really have something wrong. This chemical imbalance could be for many different reasons. It could be a test from Allah. Maybe Allah is trying to test you to bring you back to Him. So the only way for Him to do that is to do certain things to you so that you fall on your face and you go back to Him. Okay. And some people that might be an actual physical chemical imbalance for you to wake up. Okay. Or sometimes it could be other reasons. But the point is that it's either a chemical thing or it's because you don't know your purpose in life.
All right. I would take it another direction. I would say being pleased with the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a part of the belief system, which is that whatever it is about you that you're insecure about, that you feel that devalues you, accept it, accept knowing that Allah Ta'ala created you that way specifically. It wasn't by chance, it wasn't by mistake, it wasn't, just so happened. Allah Ta'ala created you that way specifically. He, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, when everything was written, it was written for you purposely, right? So when you think like that, like, man, Allah created me with, to me look just like this. A lot of people
for a purpose.
Yeah, for a purpose. Yeah, no, that's why
it's connected to it.
Yeah, I was trying to,
the foundation is that your reason, your purpose. Everything else is peripheral. You know what I mean? It's connected. I'm not saying it's not important, but it's still peripheral. Once you understand that, your ultimate purpose, your ultimate journey. At the end of the day, when the day of judgment comes, I guarantee you're not going to be worried about your teeth. Yeah, sure. You're not going to be worried about your ears. You're not going to be worried about my eye has a funny eye. You won't be worried about it. You won't even remember it.
Yeah. So. Alhamdulillah, that's a very good point that you made about that. And so I think the next question would be talking about your environment, right? So one cause we talked about a spiritual connection, right? A lack thereof of understanding your Creator, understanding your purpose, how you came to be, and how Allah created you in this perfect way. That's one thing. Secondly, I believe that, and they say that identity is a social construct, meaning that people get who they are from their outside environments. So if you hang with certain people with certain characteristics, you will begin to adapt that. And people will always look for what? Validation, right? No matter how high of an esteem you have or a value of yourself, we need validation from other people. And we see the Sahaba were so great because who was their validator? The Prophet ﷺ. He found the littlest things about them and validated them, and made them feel so good. And as a result of him believing in them to such a degree, they begin to rise to that level. So I want to talk about, since identity being a social construct, do we as a society take the burden of a person having low self-esteem? Are we responsible for that?
Sometimes we are, sometimes we are. Nowadays you see, especially in America, a lot of people, they take pills, Xanax, whatever, all these pills made for anxiety and, stress, people who have stress problems. It could be very it could be very damaging to them, to their lives. It could turn into depression maybe, sometimes even suicide. So it happens. If you don't have faith in Allah, it'll take you to a wrong path. So of course, whether it was chemical brain disorder or whatever social influence that you had, you have to go back to Allah, of course, at all costs.
I'm thinking of an example, right?
Right.
for those of us that have been to New York before, right, or just any major city, even here in Egypt, I begin to notice that, right? You look at these billboards and you see these people on these billboards, right? These women, they're like slim and have all these makeup on, have this certain facial features or whatever, and they say this is what a woman's supposed to look like. This is the standard of beauty, right? This is what society imposes. So as a young girl growing up, you want to be beautiful, and you're looking at, this is all you see on TV and the networks and things like that. So you say, wow, this must be beauty. So society sets the standard, and then you see what people changing their features to look like these people, even on TV and things like that. So, you know, that's the kind of thing I'm sort of trying to get at when society begins to construct an idea of beauty or what's an honor if you have a lot of money. These sort of, I wouldn't say minute, just
shallow, you know,
shallow things,
right,
or whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, even in Egypt, you know, people take it in the wrong way. You know, they take these pills or drugs. It boosts their confidence and stuff. And after the effect, after it goes, you know, they go back worse than they were before.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so you're not dealing with it. You have to go to the root of the problem, you know.
Yeah.
That's not, don't follow TV, I mean, follow your religion.
Exactly.
It's not the role model.
Yeah, yeah.
Your role model is not from a TV series or show, you know, it's from Islam, it's from Aisha, it's from Fatima, it's from, you know, these mothers of Muslims.
Brother Hamid?
No, like, yes, society, you know, is responsible for, you know, putting those burdens on human beings. And at the same time, I feel like it's a two-way street. I feel like, yes, society plays a role in, you know, people setting these standards that, okay, this is how you should be or this is how you should look. And people feel pressured to be that specific thing. And at the same time, I feel like it's upon individuals to find that sense of confidence and esteem within themselves, and use, you know, means that are bigger than that to achieve that, you know, through dua and stuff like that. Because the Prophet ﷺ, you know, people attacked him, and because if you have a young person or just anybody in general, and every day you're saying, okay, you're bad looking, or you're stupid, or you're all these negative things, naturally you will start to feel degraded, and you'll feel bad about yourself. Yeah. But I feel like if you know, lean on something that's stronger than that, you will find strength in something that's greater. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ did. Like, people accused him of being a liar. People accused him of being a sorcerer, a poet, etc., etc. And Prophet used to religiously make dua for Allah to grant him with taqwa, with bravery, with courage, and with self-sufficiency, like not needing people. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, you know, yes, society put those burdens there, but we as individuals, we have to dig deep, you know, ask Allah for help to, like, grant us self-sufficiency, confidence, and bravery, and to the point where we don't need people. We don't feel like we need validation from people.
SubhanAllah. It's very insightful. We're going to pause for a short break, inshallah ta'ala, and we'll be right back to sort of continue this very crucial conversation on self-esteem. I'm your host, Yusuf Krama. Stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Perfect my life and I praise Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi Subhanallah. How perfect you are, Allah, Subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Go ahead, Ya Shu'aib. Recite from ayah number 16 to 26.
Yeah, okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولقد خلقنا الإنسان ونعلم ما توسوس به نفسه ونحن أقرب إليه من حبل الوريد.
يتلقى المتلقيان عن اليمين وعن الشمال قعيد ما يلفظ من قول إلا لديه رقيب عتيد.
جاءت سكرة الموت بالحق ذلك ما كنت منه تحيد ونفخ في الصور ونفخ في الصور ذلك يوم الوعيد وجاءت كل نفس معها سائق وشهيد لقد كنت في غفلة من هذا فكشفنا عنك غطاءك فبصرك اليوم حديد
Muhammad, the best of creation.
Now that we know more about da'wah, what would you say are the characteristics of a da'i?
Sincerity.
Sincerity. Yes?
Good relation with Allah.
Good relation with Allah. Okay.
Patience.
Yes, sir?
Good manners.
Good manners. And there is much more to that. Join us in our program, the Da'wah Workshop, by your brother, Dr. Rayyan Fawzi Arab, so that we could talk more about Da'wah exclusively on Huda TV.
Subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, dear viewers, to another live episode of Let's Talk on your favorite station, Huda TV. I'm your host, Yusuf Krama, and today we're talking about low self-esteem. So where we ended was talking about the society's role in contributing to someone having a low self-esteem. Is society responsible? What part does society have, since identity is a social construct? As an individual is beginning to develop themselves, their idea of who they are, where they fit into the world, people validating them or sort of deprecating them could play a very long affecting role in their lives. So what is society's effect on a person's self-esteem? We're going to have Brother Shafi take it away, inshallah.
Well, from a perspective, like we said, if we take a look back to the cause, and if we agree and we understand and we believe, if the cause is someone to be away, to be far away from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and someone not to understand the purpose why he's here in this world, and then this, if we agree and then we believe this is the cause, you stay away from Allah, and then you don't understand your purpose of your life is ibadah. If you don't understand that, and then if you have this problem, low self-esteem, then for me, I think as a society, we are responsible for this, because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "Unsur akhaka zaliman aw madluman," and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala said, "Qu anfusakum wa ahlikum." So I think our brother now or our sister suffering, has this issue. We are responsible for this. We need to deal with that. If we take as a cause to be far away from Allah and not to understand why you are created, the purpose of creating. I agree with that, and I say yes, we are responsible as a society.
Okay, and it's our job to sort of inform this individual of their purpose and realign them with, where they're supposed to be in their status with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala.
Yeah, except we are not going to be responsible if we already tried to deal with that. Yeah.
Okay. Brother Idris?
Yeah, I think it depends on how you look at the situation, like as far as society. as a whole, yes, it's fard kifaya. It's something that society is responsible for. As an individual, no. Unless you know that person and you're the cause of it, then no. But as a society, I mean, but this is the problem of the leadership. This is the problem of, that, if we had an Islamic state or, a real one, that this would be the responsibility of them of taking care of these things.
A low self-esteem?
Yes, well, it's to take care of the people. Like even, in all aspects. That's why, like, people like Umar al-Khattab would sweat and lose sleep because they were worried about the people. Because all aspects of the people he's responsible for. He would go out and seek and try to find. He would never try to have an excuse to say, I can't do this. I can't be responsible for everything. I can't. It's a big responsibility of the state to deal with the people on a social and economical level and a mental level.
But I don't think you need to have an Islamic state to remedy self-esteem issues.
The question was, is the society responsible for this? Right. In a sense, yes, but like I said, this is something that's an obligation of society as a whole. But you can't point a finger and say that society or this society. I'm giving you a general synopsis of what fard kifaya is. Something that's responsible. Like if you're in a Muslim country, it's fard kifaya to have this law. Who are you going to blame? You can't just go around and blame that individual. It's a society obligation that we have to help each other and fix each other. And as an individual, you have to go back to what you said. I mean, so much of the seerah, so much tells you that your people around you affect you. I mean, the most famous hadith is everyone knows about whenever the Rasulullah said that the good friend is like perfume, the bad friend is like. So, of course, society, people around you have effect on you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have any of these teachings in Islam.
Yeah, sure.
It's a huge, there's tons of hadith you can find, and there's even a few ayahs about be careful who you're around, because they all affect you. So you want to be around people who are always reminding you of your worth and your good, people who are righteous and calling you towards that good, people who, when you have faults, they build you up and help you and point your faults out, not as a form of degrading you, but as a form of uplifting you and helping you to be a better you.
Okay.
So you need that, but that's pretty much it for now.
Okay, yeah. So I want to get right into some examples from the Quran and Sunnah that have addressed low self-esteem, either directly or indirectly.
Well, I can't remember something specifically, but this story about David, Dawood alayhi salam, he was so little, like his size is he's so short and so thin, I can probably say he got no muscles, just a little small guy.
I'll take it easy.
SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. No, it's like I'm trying to set an example for what he did. SubhanAllah, he was he had a lot of courage, even though he was a little small guy. Again, sorry about that. So, he in Quran it says, and Dawood Jalut. And David killed Goliath. Even though Goliath was one of the worst enemies of the Egyptians at the time. He was in Palestinian. Canaanis, one of the Canaanis who used to live in Palestine at the time of Dawood. So, he threw a rock, he had to throw a rock into Jalut, and Jalut, fell down, dropped dead. So subhanAllah, it's never, something that could be your disadvantage, you can turn it into an advantage.
Very good example.
So make use of whatever, you might think it's wrong. You never know. Maybe a failure in the way you look, the way you act, your personality, even your mental ability. You understand me? So just be strong. Don't let anyone degrade you or put you down or defend your opinion. Whatever you have to say, just defend it, and accept criticism, of course. Don't just be arrogant because you're gonna go astray. It's a thin line. That's it, pretty much it.
He just reminded me, there was one of the companions, I can't remember his name, subhanAllah, but he was just known for his zuhud. He was like a really overly simple person. He used to wear very simple clothing. And he was just known for this, right? So they appointed him to be the flag bearer at one of the ghazawat, right? And he came fresh. He was clean. And when people saw him, they were like, is that you? What happened to you? And he said, no, this isn't about me. I'm bearing the flag of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the other stuff is for dunya. I don't care about the dunya, but when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's when I'm conscious of every minute thing of my dress, of how I appear. But other than that, it's just dunya. I could really care less about dunya. So sometimes, and they admire him for that as well. So sometimes the things that we maximize are really small, and it's inside of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, small. But to people, they're big. So when it comes before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what's the most important thing? Your akhlaq and your adab. As Ibn al-Qayyim said, that this religion is akhlaq, is adab. And whoever exceeds you in akhlaq, they exceed you in religion. So, what's most important, you should have low self-esteem if your akhlaq is terrible. That's something you should be ashamed of, right? Not if if one eyebrow doesn't match the other, weird stuff like that. But alhamdulillah. But
I think of an example from the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ when Aisha asked him, what was the worst day of his life? Or the question was, did you experience a day worse than Uhud? And we all know what transpired on the day of Uhud. That was the day, the Prophet ﷺ, he got severely hurt. His molar teeth came out in that battle, and, the Muslims were defeated. But there was a day that he experienced that was tougher than that. And that was the day when he went out to Ta'if to give da'wah to the people, and no one answered him. The leaders turned their backs on him, and then they commanded the young lads of the town to throw stones at them and stuff like that. So when the Prophet ﷺ reached the outskirts of the city, he literally broke down. Like he reached that low point where it was like, wow, I loss of hope, the confidence level, as it was a natural emotion for a human being at that point. I presented myself in front of these people, and then not only did they turn me down, but they sought to harm me. The Prophet was really down, and he turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He made dua, expressing his inability and his weakness. He said, "Oh Allah, but please, give me strength. Oh Allah, don't allow this to, discourage me for the rest of my da'wah." So I feel like that's an example we can take from, the seerah. And in the Quran, I think of the story of Musa as well.
I was thinking that, inshallah, yeah.
When the magicians of the Pharaoh, when they threw their sticks and it turned, or when they threw when the snakes came out or whatever, he got scared at that point, because Allah sent them, and Allah said, okay, this is what your stick gonna do. But when he saw the snakes, he was like, he got scared. He lost confidence. And Allah said, فَأَوْجَسَ فِي نَفْسِهِ خِيفَةً قُلْنَا لَا تَخَفْ, don't be scared. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْأَعْلَى, you will be the upper hand. So I feel like everything go back to Allah. Everything really goes back to Allah. So
Allah validated them.
Allah validated. You will be the winner. And then Musa threw down a stick, and then it ate all the snakes that was there. And those magicians, they turned and they believed in Musa. So it's just about, being steadfast and just depending on the one who grants confidence and esteem himself.
I was even thinking about Musa, about the difficulty he had in speaking as well. So he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help him with his brother. So, it's a beautiful thing. If that can be an anbiya, a prophet, that can have a difficulty, then who are we? So whenever Allah ta'ala tests you with something that you're weaker in, that you don't have some strength in, I can call my brother Shafi or brother Idris, I may not be as handsome as brother Yasir, right? But if I hang with him, it makes me look a little bit better, mashallah. So whatever difficulty you're dealing with, know that someone else has another difficulty, and use, sort of their strength to sort of empower you, and you use whatever strength that you have to empower them. So that's the sort of relationship that we should have as human beings, as opposed to degrading or deprecating someone for a weakness or, a sort of difficulty they have. Imam Shafi.
Well, for me, if we look for the examples of low self-esteem in Islam, from Quran or Sunnah, I think you're always going to find, I don't call it low, you're going to find it in a positive. You're going to find whether with a solution, because Islam came up with a solution for everything. If you look at before Islam, before Quran, you will find many examples of low self-esteem. But after Islam came up, even in the Sahaba time with the Prophet Muhammad, you hear these people, had some issues. But although you will find the solution. I mean, you found the solution. What they did after that, but before Islam, so many. Because I remember when Sayyidina Omar killed his daughter because they were believe of if you have a daughter, I mean, your wife gave birth. I mean, you have a daughter. Something wrong with the, society. Something wrong with you. So they were feeling like, I mean, they had this low. For me, I understand it. They had this low self-esteem. If someone has a daughter, he killed. Sayyidina Omar. But after Islam came up, I mean, after Muhammad sallallahu and Quran, they got solution, and they become, stronger than that.
So you brought up an interesting point. One, the first thing, I know there's an ikhtilaf on whether or not there was Umar ibn Khattab that did that. So I'm not sure. I think there's some people have some doubt about whether it was him or not. So I wouldn't necessarily attribute that to him. But the point that you make is very significant, which is that there's a tie between morality and self-esteem. So it's not just physical appearances, but your moral state that you're in can lead to low self-esteem. If you're in a state of jahiliyyah and you're just ignorant and just, you don't have any haya, like Allah Ta'ala said, do as you will, that's a low self-esteem. When you just are just around ignorant people and just it's at least a low self-esteem. That's a very interesting point as well. And it goes back to what Ustad Idris said about being tied with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that will bring your self-esteem. MashaAllah. Brother Idris?
Yeah, for me, well, originally I was thinking about the story that you already brought up was Musa and how he had sort of a speech impediment and he was worried about this when Allah commanded him to go back to Pharaoh. I was thinking about that originally, but we already talked about it. So I think if I had to think of another instance, I probably would think of some of the Sahaba, like, I don't remember his name, because it's not a very famous story, about the one who used to drink alcohol all the time. He was very, an alcoholic, basically. He had very low self-esteem. And he would always, stay away from the Prophet because he was, ashamed. He didn't want to be around him while he drank alcohol. So the Sahaba used to, be very harsh with him and, what's wrong with you? You're supposed to be Muslim. You have the Rasulullah here. I'm paraphrasing, but they were very harsh with him. And the Rasulullah would admonish the Sahaba, telling them, don't be harsh with him, because verily he loves Allah and Allah loves him. And when the word came back to him, what the Rasulullah said about him, khalas, he never drank a sip of alcohol again.
He validated him.
So we have this friendship with someone who pulls you in your faults and lifts you up. This is the type of relationship you need to find in your life. If you find that, I don't care how long you've known someone, I don't care if it's a family member. If you find that someone is always degrading you or making you feel lower than low and not helping your relationship with Allah, you need to limit that relationship. If it's family, I'm not saying cut it off, because this is haram. But I mean, you need to limit it. You need to become the upper hand. You need to become the one who is influencing, not the one who's being influenced. If it's not family member, then cut it off. You don't have to be around them. Also, another example is like you mentioned about, he didn't really have self-esteem, but like, Ibn Mas'ud, where his legs were thin, and he was climbing and they were pointing at his legs. He didn't have self-esteem, but this behavior is what causes some people to have self-esteem.
Low self-esteem.
Yes.
Yeah. SubhanAllah, very interesting points that you guys make about tying the idea of spirituality and of self-esteem. SubhanAllah, like the people, at least within the Ummah of Islam, if you don't have any morals or don't believe anything, that's your own thing. But within our own communities, the people that will be at the lowest are the people that are the least connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will always be ridiculed and a sort of humiliated, right? But the Prophet ﷺ will choose those people and will elevate them. So, if you find people like that aren't necessarily close to Allah, that are trying to make their way new to Islam, or they have some difficulties, if we can uplift them, oftentimes they become the best of Muslims, the best of people.
Like Julaybiib.
Like Julaybiib.
Another example of someone who, he didn't have he had low self-esteem before the Rasulullah, but the Rasulullah made him feel like he was the closest to him. And he absolutely, loved Julaybiib. I mean, wholeheartedly loved Julaybiib. And when he died and he found out, he was happy, but at the same time he was heartbroken. Happy that he received Shaheed, but at the same time he was going to miss Julaybiib. So, and it's a long story. We all know it's a famous story about him not having the best features and considered to be ugly at the time, and getting the wife who he didn't even really spend much time with because he died in the jihad. So we need those kind of people. This da'wah, this religion is one that addresses issues and tackles them and goes after them. We don't run from them. We don't duck them. We don't hide them. And this is what the Rasul's way was this. When he would find someone who was down, he would go at the issue and help it. Too many people nowadays want to, duck issues and sidestep me. Go, oh, we have other problems. That's not how this deen's not about that.
SubhanAllah, the time is up again. Inshallah, time goes by so fast, especially when you're remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and bringing about good. We hope that this show is beneficial to you, their viewers, as has been to us. I want to thank my noble guests for, sharing your enlightenment, and may Allah ta'ala put that on your mizan. I just want to close with the example of Bilal ibn Rabah. If anyone could have been in a position to have low self-esteem, it would have been Bilal. Not only was he a slave to another human being, but he was disrespected. They put him beneath a rock, and he was calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah took him from being under a rock, from being a slave, to being on top of the Kaaba. The highest place, the most honored thing in all of Mecca. He was standing on top of it, calling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's when when your esteem is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah ta'ala put him on top. So whatever it is that you're dealing with, whatever difficulties or self-esteem issues that you have, just put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and call upon Him, and He will lift you up and elevate you, because you put your trust and your hope and all of your entire life in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He will be sufficient for you, inshallah ta'ala. Until next time, I'm your host, Yusuf Kroma. It's been a wonderful show. Please make dua for your host and your guests, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How perfect my Allah is, and I praise Him. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanallah. How perfect you are, Allah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanallah. How perfect you are, Allah. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, I'm calling your name, Allah. I call you, I need you, Allahu Akbar. Allah, your mercy is great.